That is legitimately absurd.
Yeah, it was crazy how they just like looked effortless. It was insane. All right, we're live. I'm gonna pull it up on YouTube before we get going. All right, bear with us for 1 second. What'd you forget?
My water.
I was at the Rogue Fitness commercial
Let's go. That's who monetizes your videos.
all the time.
I
All right, it's kind of crooked.
like that.
Everybody didn't use a holder for the semifinals videos
You mean quarter?
or quarterfinal videos. Let's see. All right, not bad.
Let's get it.
We're back. Coach's Office Podcast.
That's right. Day late.
Day late, but yeah, we'll try to keep going on Thursdays. But I was out of town this week, so
Yeah.
you were here, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I went out. I mean, I'm out of town for
All the
most
time.
holidays.
Yeah.
So most weekends I'm gone because of Young Life stuff, and then or holidays, and then if it's not Young Life stuff or a holiday, it's going to Maryland to see Julia's family, and or we go on a trip because she really likes to adventure that way. Like a lot of the adventure that she seeks in life is going to come through like hiking, like getting out into the woods, like not necessarily spending money to go and uh, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like a good example, like spending a lot of money to go stay at a fancy place. It's more like pack up this tent and let's go out into the woods somewhere and go hiking, whatever it is.
That's cool.
I'm bad at that. Like I don't facilitate that nearly enough for us. Maybe like the last year, I've been thinking more about it and trying to make that happen more. I didn't do that as a kid, so I don't think of that as fun or adventuring. But anyways, I was here this week while you were gone, which is almost never the case.
Yeah, I don't like being gone too long, but it was nice to get
It
away.
used to weigh on you a lot, just training wise. Like
because I was very focused on one thing, so all my attention was towards training, and like the daily routine that you have, it matters so much when you are in a routine training for something like CrossFit Games. That's one of those things like you can definitely be held captive by it.
Oh yeah,
like you can not. Yeah, you can over emphasize it when you shouldn't. Like if you're in your off season or whatever, like not relax enough where you should be able to take some time off, like be able to do both of those things. That's why I've always been bad at vacationing. Still am.
Yep.
But that's okay. It's more fun when you have kids because you can just play with the kids. So like Violet needs nap times, so I'll be like, oh yeah, I got it. I'll go take care of her.
Nice.
It gives me some time to. She didn't sleep very well, but it gives me a little bit of time at least to do some other stuff. But yeah,
that's always so hard.
Yeah, but it was a good week. We went to Naples, Florida, for a few days, and
Noelle loves Naples.
That's
right?
like their spot. Yeah, her spot growing up. Like they would go down there every year.
Your parents have a place there too.
Her grandparents had a place there, like a little condo place that they went to and stayed at. So, not anymore. They just kind of go down and stay at a hotel and hang out on the beach. Like the hotel's like right on the beach.
Oh.
It's a nice spot for sure. But,
I'm with it.
Yeah, I do what I can to enjoy it.
That was great. Did she have a good time?
She has a great time.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
that's sweet.
Yeah.
You able to work out? Did you care about that at all? Did you?
Yeah. So I guess working out on vacations, I try not to like make it a focus of the trip. Like I never go to a CrossFit gym. I usually just work out either in the hotel or on the beach or go find a park or go running. I don't know, something like that. So like my first work of we got there the first day and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go move around a little bit. Like I might as well have just said, hey, I'm going to the bathroom downstairs. I went down into the hotel gym, did thrusters and burpees 6 minutes of work total, or like 5 minutes of work total, and then went back up, and that was my workout for the day. So it's like it's cool what you can do with intensity and CrossFit to get a workout in a very short amount of time. So that was what I did, and then there was a bike there. I biked a little bit in the mornings while I was doing. I would go downstairs, do a little bit of work before they got up. I'm like dedicating right now. I made a post the other day. I'm like, yeah, I'm dedicating that I'm gonna sprint once every 2 weeks
Nice.
because it's like I feel like once a week I'm too sore from it. Like I'm so
Yeah,
sore
it's a
from
lot.
Wednesday sprints, like
Yeah.
10 sprints on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And they're not even that long,
Mhm.
and I'm not even that fast anymore. But it's still good to do it because just how it is. Like you just don't, as you get older, you just don't feel as athletic. So it's like good to move. It's like, oh, there's my hamstring. Haven't felt that in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, like my feet hurt. All the
Yeah.
little bones and muscles in your feet that you just
Mhm.
neglect to use. So sprinting is
Do you
something
have
that when you
barefoot on
really
the sand?
no, I was just running. I just did it in the parking lot.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, they had a long, like 100-yard
Yeah.
stretch,
Okay.
and it was kind of quiet, so I just went down there. It's nice, but I like to just get
So
outside.
you did 10 hundreds.
It was like 75s because I would
Okay.
build into it, and every 25 I go a little harder.
Yeah.
So like just that way I'm not sprinting out the gate
Yeah.
and pull something.
Yeah.
But
That's
it's still
smart.
good. And if you do them every minute on the minute, you get a really good workout in too. Like
Oh,
I
yeah.
was smoked afterwards.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's all you need.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are my workouts for vacation days, but they're pretty simple.
Do you have any desire to just go and not move at all? Like, does that ever enter your mind at all?
After I move a little bit, I gotta do something. I don't know. I just feel like I gotta get something done. We were talking about that a little bit
Yeah.
ago, but I don't know. I feel better once I've done something and I was a little bit productive, and then I can enjoy myself a little bit more. So
So it's like a direct correlation of like the
part of me
rest of
hates
your
that.
day is
Yeah.
like aligns with the like suffering before you enter into this next thing, or
Something like that, yeah. Part of me hates that, but
there are worse things
there are
to
worse
be,
things.
captive or
Yeah.
captured by, but it's yeah, it's not the worst, that's for sure. That's good. So whenever so if I'm out of town for Young Life, like I'll get, wherever we're going, whatever we're doing. If it's a 2 day thing, a 3 day thing, whatever. When I get there, everybody's like, "Hey, are you gonna work out today?" And it very rarely do I say yes to anyone when I'm
Hmm.
there. And like, really? Like, you're not gonna do anything, whatever. I'm like, no, I take my Monday through Friday like very, very serious. It don't miss. Like it is like I have my full attention on it, all of the above. And when I'm here or I'm off, like I let it be off.
Hmm.
Like I
Hmm.
I I know how to sort of separate the two, even like
Yeah, I
on
don't see you here
vacation.
ever on the weekends. Yeah.
Me?
Yeah. No,
No, I
it's
don't.
just
I
Monday through
it is
Friday,
Monday through
and
Friday.
that's your
It
routine,
is
and
as
that's
set
pretty
in
cool.
stone as it gets,
Hmm.
and it's necessary. And so, but that allows me freedom in other places to where
Hmm.
when I go to Fredericksburg on the weekends, and I'm somebody wants to do something, whatever it is, it's like my nephews are 19 now, and they were going to play basketball with all their friends, and I was like, listen, I don't travel without my basketball shoes, so I'm always ready for a game of pickup basketball, like shorts under my pants. Like that's like old school. Like if you're a hooper, you probably didn't get rid of this habit. Like you wear your basketball shorts under your jeans and you're ready to
That's funny. Sounds like CrossFit.
play. And so,
Sounds like what you were making fun of me for a
yes, it
minute
was a
ago.
little bit. It was a little bit of that, just in case, just in case. But so I'm like, all right, boys, like let me know if it's time to play. And
Yeah.
so they got a pickup game going, and it's easy to say yes to go to play basketball, but I really do take that time off, and I'm always curious like how that is for everyone else. Like, do you know the rhythms and patterns? And it's kind of just knowing yourself. You know yourself.
Hmm.
You know what you need. You know what you want to get into. You know how to maximize your day. You know how to maximize uh, your what would you call it?
It's
Your
it's like momentum that you build throughout the day. Like it's something like when you if I wake up and wake up and I spend time on my phone first, I'm way less productive in the morning and throughout the day. And you notice it snowballs throughout the day, and it becomes harder to become productive as if your day starts out poorly.
yeah.
And I say poorly, like if I wake up and I start, whatever, maybe I wake up and I write a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and or I read a little bit,
Yeah.
or I have a cup of coffee and I'm listening to a podcast or something, and then I do a little bit of work, and then when the girls get up, I make breakfast, and then it just bleeds into one thing. I maybe pick up the room that needs picked up or whatever needs done. If I start doing stuff, I'll be more productive throughout the day than if I just wake up and I'm not thinking about, I don't know, just on my phone,
Yeah.
not thinking, not doing anything, just
Totally.
just staring off into space. But um, yeah, maybe it's productivity or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Momentum makes sense too.
That's
The
the way I
right
think
thing.
of it. But like working out's the same way.
Yeah.
Like for a lot of people, it's really hard to like start working out, but that's the hardest part. It's like when you try to move something heavy, like try to push something heavy on a carpet. It's like the hardest part is getting it moving. Once it budges, you can kind of slide it across the floor. But people don't understand that your body is very similar. Is that as you get it going, it's easier to keep it going, and you actually want to keep it going because you notice when you stop it that you're given that negative reinforcement where it's like this thing is harder to get going again. So you really do want to just continuously move and continuously do something. And sometimes the hardest part is just getting going.
Yeah.
So once I'm going, I'm way more positive, for sure,
Totally agree.
the whole day. But
Totally agree. Especially relationally. Like I was telling Julianne recently, we're talking a lot about forgiveness recently.
Mhm.
I'm like, if you're not practicing that regularly, to restart practicing, like saying, "Hey, I'm sorry, forgive me,"
yeah,
by grace of God, I'll be better this next time, or "Hey, I'm sorry, please forgive me. I didn't mean to respond that way to you earlier. Like I said something snarky the other night,
Mhm.
and it was true. Like I should have said it.
Mhm.
It was true, and it also needed the apology.
Mhm.
So whatever.
Yeah, but if you don't, it's like it adds up.
If
It's like
it
the
if I
bag gets
yeah,
heavier and then you can't carry it, or it's harder to carry it.
well, it's harder to just get back to like, oh, I'm not always. I don't stay in a place of snarkiness,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Like it's not the status quo is
Or the thing
um
that's blocking you from apologizing.
yeah, right.
Mhm. We all know what that feels like. But
Oh dude, it's so bad. Like having a hindrance in the way of something like
it's
that,
annoying me right now
dude,
thinking about it. Yeah.
getting it going again is so ridiculous.
Yeah, but then you know the place that you're in when you do get that going and build the momentum in a positive direction. It's like everything's better.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, where has this person been for the last 6 months
Mm-hmm.
and not doing this? This is
Mm-hmm.
so weird.
Mm-hmm.
I like this so much more.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so true. It's I like this more. Just made me think of the doing all the girl workouts, and we could just the workout of the week.
Yeah, we can talk about the workout
Second,
of the week now if you want.
I like them so much, and I don't know if it's nostalgic. I don't know what it is about it.
Mm-hmm.
I love them like actual
Is it
like
familiarity or
so. This
the
week we're going to talk
testing
about
part of it?
Nancy.
Okay.
All right, I know how fast you can go, Nancy, or I know how fast I can go, Nancy.
5 rounds for time.
Yep.
400-meter run. 15 overhead squats. 95-65.
Yes.
Light but fast.
Light but
5
fast.
rounds for time.
Wasn't always light.
Yeah.
In the beginning, overhead squatting was foreign to the majority of people.
95 was enough in the beginning.
Plenty.
Yeah, like we've done that workout at the games with 25 reps at 145 pounds
Yep.
and longer, a harder run.
We've done it here. I've done it with you over the last 10 years. I've done it at 95. I've done it at 135. I've done it at 155. And I've done it at 185.
Yeah. Interesting just playing around with the different weights, what that does to the workout. And you can see, like, when you do that, when you play with it and you experience the different things, you have more to fall back on. It's almost like you're building up the bank of memory or the bank of experiences that you have to then pull back from later when a new workout might pop up. That's kind of like this one or kind of like that one. You have something to refer back to,
Yes.
like your references. You're building your resume,
Yeah.
like experimenting and tweaking the workouts a little bit.
It punished me
Monday,
Monday.
yeah.
When's the
Why
last time you
this
did it?
time? Oh, just RX.
Yeah.
I haven't done it in a while. It's been a while, but I remember the last time I did it. I finished it and I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna go any faster than that without sacrificing something.
Yeah.
Like I would have to sacrifice strength and yeah, I'd have to sacrifice strength to go faster in that workout because it was all about the run.
Yeah. It's all about the run. The
Yeah.
workout is all about the run.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's something that I like about it, probably
It's like
because
Helen, yeah.
you're
It's kind of all about the run too. Like it's more about how you can recover while you run.
so recovering while you run is an interest, like a weird phrase for this one for me because if you run hard the whole time, you can run hard the whole time.
Mhm.
You're trying to go as fast as you can the whole time. But when you're in really good shape, you're actually running fast the whole time. Like you're running a
You're running at your threshold pace, like at the fastest
Yeah.
pace you can hold.
135, 400, something like that.
Mhm.
And you're walking right in, grabbing the barbell, doing your overhead squats, and then running as hard as you can again.
Mhm. You're kind of not stopping. It's
You're
like what
not-
you see at the CrossFit Games.
It's-
Like you
yes.
see the events are set up where they just continuously go and there's no break.
Yes.
Yeah. There's not a skill hard enough to make people stop or slow down.
No. And it is you can get baited, you can get chased, you can definitely get hunted down on this workout where the person just gets to pace you on it.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about last week. And my favorite one is getting humbled by a workout that you've done 10 times faster and you think you're in good shape right now. And I think this is the thing that I love the most about it. I did it on Monday. I went, oh man, I thought I was in good shape. I'm not nearly in the shape that I thought I was in. And this was the easiest reminder.
What do you take away from that? Is
Either,
it just that? Well, you have to take away something positive, right?
Yeah. I took
yeah.
away personally. Either I'm heavy right now, and that's why my run hurt, or I haven't been running enough to make my run good. So, and running enough in the sense of sprints. I can't believe you brought it up. Like I'm a sprint more, whatever it is. It's like I wasn't running hard for short bursts.
Yeah.
Consistently enough to be able to do it well on Monday. That bothered me.
Yeah.
Right. You get done with it and you're like, man, love this workout. I love the feeling afterwards. It's hard to describe. Like it's the thing that I feel like makes you fall in love with this thing as you go, and the intensity.
It's like you just put in your effort. You just put in effort for 5 to 15 minutes at a task that's challenging, and you don't know what the outcome's going to be.
Right.
It's like there's an unknown part of it.
Yes.
You're kind of venturing off into this place where it's unfamiliar. But then at the end, there's the reward of completing the workout. Totally. But then if you finish it and you're not as fast as you were last time, you have something to contend with.
Yeah.
Because maybe now you might question, oh, I'm not fitter than I was last time I did this.
Yeah.
Which brings up a good point that I wrote about this week. Was in one of my workouts, I wrote notes after each one of the workouts, and Helen was the workout, and my time was slower. So when because I do Helen, I had done Helen like every couple weeks. It was an event at the games that year in 2010, and I had done it every few weeks after that. And this time my time was slower. I had gotten progressively faster, and this one was slower. But I wrote in the notebook, I said my reps were better.
Oh.
Because I needed to pull away a positive because my time was slower. And I was thinking that that's what happens as you progress through CrossFit. It's kind of like the spiral, but upward, right? You're doing the same workout, but you hope that your reps are just a little bit better next time, right?
Yeah.
So you're working, but your time might be a little slower.
Yeah.
And then next time you might hold your reps good and then beat your time or tie your time. And then you beat it again. And it's like that 2 steps forward and then you take a step back. But the step back might be, all right, I was 10 seconds slower. I was 20 seconds slower. I was 30 seconds slower, whatever it might be. But my reps got better. right, balancing that technique and intensity.
Yeah.
So it just made me think of that, like, because that's you have to pull something positive from it. Like, if you just go through the workout and you just get wrecked by it again, and you didn't do it any better or anything, yeah, I don't know. Then you can go back to the drawing board, and it's always fun to go back to the drawing board and work on things that you're weak at. You know.
So when situations like this pop up in life and you don't do as well at something that you've done before,
Mhm.
and it catches you off guard, most of the time that has like some type of deep negative effect. In the Jordan Peterson first chapter of that book, the lobster analogy, right?
Mhm.
Like the rejection sends the lobster that doesn't get courted, or doesn't get the pick of the litter with the female lobsters. It sends that lobster into a downward spiral of negativity. And go read the
Mhm.
chapter. It's very, very fascinating.
Mhm.
But on all of these workouts, like this past workout, I did not go faster. I didn't do better. I didn't win it in the gym. Lots of people, all of the above, right? I walked away feeling better than I have in a long time.
Mhm.
And also, I got to immediately like uh check myself in like a in the best way possible of like, I want to be there, and I know in my mind where there is. And this thing that I just did let me know a pretty easy roadmap to get there.
Mhm.
Run more, whatever it is, right?
Mhm.
That was so it was so freeing for me.
Mhm.
It wasn't I didn't use it as a tool to I don't know, tear myself down, right?
Mhm.
I'm going to use
Yeah.
it as a tool to like chisel away at the things that need to be chiseled away at, that have sort of recalcified on me
Yeah,
over time.
there's like a knowing where you are, and then knowing the effort you put in. And that's why it's like it's very the effort part of it's very
Oh
subjective. The
yes.
effort part of CrossFit's very subjective.
Yeah.
And you want to feel like you put in the effort, but you also want to be realistic with where you are currently. And then you always want to set another goal or a new goal and then work towards that goal, because it's the striving towards the goal that gives you the reward that you want.
Yeah.
It's making progress towards the goal that gives you the reward, the dopamine reward that you are looking for.
Right.
It's not the thing itself.
Yeah, it's very rarely the thing itself.
It's completing the task uh, can be eventful and helpful and positive and all those things, but then you're going to be looking for another thing, and it's that continuous circle is, you hopefully that it goes up and not spiraling down.
Right.
And the only way if you continue to go up is continue to set new goals and continue to pull positives and continue to be realistic with where you are currently and not set unrealistic goals. That's the first idea of setting a goal, is it has to be realistic.
Yeah, the knowing where you are part of this
Mm-hmm.
is maybe the thing that I like most about coming to the gym Monday through Friday. Is
Mm-hmm.
you get I legitimately I get to know you're doing something over and over again that will let you know exactly where you are
Yeah, you get to
regularly. And knowing where you are is the
honestly know and
do
where
you
you are.
like being
Yeah,
lost? Does anyone like being lost? Does anybody like the feeling of being lost? Does
yeah, kind of.
anyone like being on a road trip and coming to the realization that they're lost?
No,
Does
it's anxiety causing,
it is
or whatever
right.
you want to call it, stress inducing.
You want to figure out one of the best antidotes to not feeling lost in life? Come in here and have a test like the gym, like do a CrossFit workout Monday through Friday every week. And you're going to have this very, very real, true north of fitness in your life that allows you to say, I'm not lost in regards to knowing where I'm at.
Yeah, it's almost like it's an anchor point.
It's a very, very fun anchor.
Yeah.
It carries and maps. We say it every week. I won't ever stop saying it. It has. I remind myself of it daily. It's like
Mm-hmm.
you were talking
Mm-hmm.
about earlier. It's like, hey, I wake up. The reason why do I wake up and read or pray or whatever it is it happens to be the best anchor to start with. It,
Yeah, and you move through your life with these anchor points. Like, you don't have if you become unanchored, then you're a what? You're just a ship floating around. You're aimless, right? And that aimlessness causes stress. and anxiety, or at least it does in me. So I like to try to find things like this one and CrossFit that anchors you for sure.
So we start the workout on Monday. So we're doing Nancy and Lindsay. Lindsay walks into the gym a little late. All right. Puts her shoes on,
That's exactly
right?
what she does.
And I'm like, this is gonna hurt. Like I'm gonna try and I'm gonna stay with her. Like I got this.
Yeah.
I got this.
Tough person try to beat in the
No,
workout.
I didn't have this. I didn't. Not at any point.
Yeah.
Like she and afterwards she walks up and she goes, I knew you weren't gonna be able to hold that pace. That's why I did it. Dude,
Love it.
she ran so fast. She is a world-class runner.
Yeah.
Ran so fast the first round that we're leaving I think we're leaving at like the 2-minute mark, maybe like 2:01, 2:02 for round 2.
Mhm.
And I was like, dude, we're gonna smash.
Mhm.
We was the wrong word. She smashed.
Yeah.
Dude, by round 3, she's on her way back she's 200 out on her way back, and I'm still on the 200 going out towards her. And the you know, like the first one is like she's all the way there, and I'm right here.
Yeah, you know exactly where you are based off of
each
when
round.
you pass.
Each round was just getting. Oh man!
Yeah.
And it was and each time I kept convincing myself that I was gonna catch her on the squats or something. Something was gonna
Whatever
derail
game you're
her.
playing with yourself.
And it didn't happen. Didn't happen, and it was so. It was just another one of those fun things where it's like fun, healthy competition, all
I
of
think
the
that's great.
above. I felt great afterwards, whatever. And it's like, dude, walking around being like, dude, Lindsay's a badass. She's amazing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's probably one of the cooler things too about these workouts too, is like watching people just smash. Like
Yeah, some people will be really good at one thing, but it's fun to try to be competitive with the best in the gym at that specific workout.
Yeah.
But it's also fun for her, who's the best at that specific workout, to crush you in the workout.
Dude.
You know what I'm saying?
So
Because there's
fun.
other workouts where she's gonna get crushed.
Yes.
You know? So it's like it's a cool dynamic. It's a cool game that you can play, and it's a fun game to play. It's a fun game to play.
Very fun. And the regular like workout of the day that aren't these couplets or just the way the girl workouts are, I don't know, the way
They're
that they're
very
programmed
simple.
they're very simple,
They're either
and it's
generally a couplet or a triplet,
yeah,
or just one movement.
something about it. Like even yesterday's workout, like racing, yesterday's workout was fun, but like not as fun. I don't know why.
There's a familiarity to it.
Yeah.
It's like that's the benchmark test. It's like you like doing those benchmark tests.
Yeah.
You know, and here's the thing. What makes me think, another thing that I wrote about was I wrote about one of my days, and I said some of my days are just like this, where it's just one long session, and I just bounce from benchmark to benchmark. Like, and I'll just pick, okay, here I'm going to test my max strict pull-ups, and I'll do that, and then I'll rest 5 or 10 minutes, and then I'm going to be like, all right, I'm going to do 30 muscle-ups for time now that I'm warmed up.
Yeah.
And then I'd rest a little bit, and then I'd be like, all right, I'm going to go do, I don't even remember what the other workout was. But it was it was like, oh, I'm going to go, it was doing some throwing. I did some throwing movements where I would take like a 25-pound plate, like a metal plate out back. And it was like the strongman used to do over the branch.
Yeah.
And I would see how far away I could get from the branch and still make it over. And I would do that for like 10 minutes. And I would test it, and I'd mark it on the ground where it was, so that I could know for later next time if I wanted to try it again. And then I think I did like, a 400-meter sprint or something, see how fast I could do it for the day. And it would just bounce from one thing to the next and test myself. And that was fun. Like, it was fun to set the benchmarks, because it's like, that's how the CrossFit Games was always. It was usually benchmarks, or it was usually one specific test where you would just go maximum capacity, and you have to find the point where you break down and you fail. And then the people that are the successful ones are the ones that can hang on to the pace and maintain it. But like, it made me think, like in Helen, there's 5 rounds of 400-meter runs, and you're like, well, how do I get better at this workout? Well, if your 95-pound overhead squats or 65-pound overhead squats are easy for you, or fine, or you can do them all unbroken, you could get stronger, like, and then they won't tax you as much, so maybe it feels like an air squat. Or you could run faster. You could build up your running. So what are you going to do? You're going to practice your 400-meter runs. Maybe you do a new run every 2.5 minutes or 3 minutes or 2 minutes. Maybe you do 30 seconds rest in between each run, and you you do 6 of them, or you do 4 of them, or you do 8 of them, or you do 10 of them. I don't know. You can play around with how you progress with them, but you want to mark them and benchmark them and work on those specific components. And there's a lot of things in CrossFit. It's almost like I have in my head like different bubbles, and those bubbles would be the benchmark workouts, and they have different components to them that you might see the little fingerlings that branch off of those bubbles, where it's like, okay, Nancy's testing your running ability, it's testing your flexibility, it's testing your mobility a little bit, it's testing your leg endurance or something, and then another workout might be something completely different. Like there's different components, but all of those components can be almost targeted with specific movements. Like I'm going to go run 8 400s. That was always one of my workouts, was 8 400s. And I would run it either on the 2 minutes or on the 2:30. And I would record my splits. And that was something that I worked on all the time. And I knew that if I brought that up, all of my workouts that had 400-meter runs in them were going to be better. I didn't have to do Nancy a ton to get better at Nancy. I tested Nancy, once every 6 months or something. But I knew that if I did these 400-meter runs in between, or if I did 400-meter run with another movement in there, and I practiced my running and I focused on that would get better and it would translate. So there's like different movements like that, like 400-meter runs are one of them. 500-meter or 1K rows are one of them. Like if you improve your 5K or your 1K, those get better.
Pick one of those. I'm curious which one you pick.
Personally, 500. But I'm a shorter distance guy. Like I'm not good at a 1K, and I don't dip my toe in that water as much as I should, because it costs me too much for the remainder of my sessions and week and mental capacity. So I stick with 500s, and then I do the 1,000 when I have to, or something like that. Like not many people test. It's like testing an 800. Like you don't go into those waters very often.
You don't want to do that one.
Yeah, it's like I saw a video. Somebody asked Usain Bolt what was the longest he ran. He's like, I don't think I ever ran a lap. And his coach was like, you never ran a lap. He's like, you never ran far. There's no point.
Yeah.
So, but he was trained for something very specific. But what I'm saying is that just like he might do specific drills for his improving his sprinting, but not, running an exact 100 every time.
He's not always running 100.
No, he's breaking it down. He's working on the parts, and then he's putting them back together inside of the workout. So it's like there are specific things that you can work on to build up almost all the benchmark workouts,
Yeah.
So that's kind of the stuff that I think about when I'm programming, is what can I write? Like if I improve my back squat, that your leg strength goes up. You're going to have that carry over into many different facets of training. It's not just going to be your back squats higher. Like it's also going to help your overhead squat. It's also going to help your rowing ability. It's also going to help your sprint, whatever sprint
you're jumping,
you're jumping, all of that. So it's like there's staples that you should work on. That's what it makes me think of.
I have so many thoughts about what you just said, and I can't pinpoint any of them.
Yeah, sorry. I just tried to talk about pick one and we can talk about it.
It was so there's one thing in there too, where when you're at your best and you're coming in, you're thinking about the day, is that in your mind, those
the tests, or do they just come up spontaneously?
Yeah, I guess I'm wondering how spontaneous that is. If it's
more spontaneous than you think.
Okay.
Yeah. I change stuff all the time. Ask anybody that has trained with me for a while. I'll change it on the fly. Like my favorite workouts are the ones where I just start.
Yeah.
I did it today.
What did it turn into?
Workout this morning. It turned into an EMOM, and then the last 2 rounds were for time. But I was gonna do, in my head, I was gonna do a longer one, but it crushed me, and I paid for not sleeping last night and not eating dinner, and not taking care of myself this morning.
Yeah.
And I shortened it and tried to get a little bit. I tried to squeeze the intensity out of the last 2 rounds, and then finished, and I was done. And I left, and I'm like, I gotta go get some food.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had those same thoughts that you didn't have after Nancy. I was like, oh man, I'm shaped now. I don't even know if I should even be competing like this. I don't even know if I should try quarterfinals or whatever. But
yeah, I'm curious
you have to keep reminding yourself. It's like day to day. It's just, it can be so different. You can feel great tomorrow. I can feel great tomorrow. I don't know. It's very weird. And if you're open to it, if you leave yourself open to it, a lot of cool things can happen. But if you're just set and you think you decide think one way or the other negatively, it's never helpful. It's never positive. Like I
Hmm.
don't like living in that space. It bothers me when I stay there.
Yeah.
But that's I
Do you just fall into that place when you don't have a good workout or something like that because
if I
of
don't
the
have yeah, if I don't like if I don't execute on the purpose of what that workout was intended for. Like 'cause I have a reason in my mind of why I want to do the workout. And it's rarely ever, oh, I just want to move. Like it'll start like, oh, I just want to move, and then it has to turn into something. Like it turns into, okay, here's my goal. And usually the goal is something that's just out of the reach, but you know it's reachable if you put in the effort. And it
yeah?
makes me mad if I don't put in the effort that I know I should put in, you know. Or if you start to hurt and you don't want to hurt that day, like that gets me.
Are you in uh CrossFit Games purgatory right now, whether mentally deciding whether or not you want to do what it's going to take to train
Okay. Let me
seriously enough in your mind? Because
all right.
here's the thing
Well,
for me,
yeah.
when I observe you, I've always said this from day one, and I've almost finally convinced you recently of actually doing this, but not, but it's creeped back into it's in your blood or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I just feel good when I
which
move.
is,
I just feel good when I move. You want me to train once a day,
just try
do the
it.
class workout. Yeah, and I've been doing that. I've been
Yeah,
hopping in
yeah,
the
yeah.
afternoon. I've either been doing the fit class or the class workout.
Right.
But what happens, it's just the way that things work out is I program the class workouts, and sometimes they're my workouts the week before. So I don't
Right.
can't come
So
in
you
and I'm
can't,
not gonna
yeah.
come in and repeat the
Yeah,
same
you're
workout,
right.
so I'll hop into the fit class. Or sometimes the movements in the fit class are the movements I did the day before. And like sometimes it doesn't line
Yeah,
up,
it
but
just
I've
won't
been
line up.
doing as much as I can of that.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I want to do that, or I want to train as little as possible.
Right.
And not out of like, oh, I don't want to train, but out of like, this is the way that my life is set up right now, currently.
Yeah. Because it's always been like just for we've had a million hours of private conversation of how capable is a one session a
Yeah, I
day
would love to
been,
test that out, because I've
right?
tested out for so long. What's the maximum potential capacity of my physical ability?
Yes.
So
Right. And that's had an outlet too in the past, right? And the outlet was, I believe that God has a plan for my life, and that plan is something to do with winning the CrossFit Games, not solely to identify as CrossFit Games champion, but it was the target that your arrow was aimed at.
it was the
Right.
calling that I felt that I should pursue.
Right.
It was the thing that wouldn't leave me alone.
Yeah.
It was like, and it's still not
Yeah.
leaving me alone. And
Right.
I don't know why I'm fighting it this time. Like he keeps doing this, and
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. It's not that I don't know what I'm resisting. It's like all these things pop in my head of like that don't need to be there. That don't help. They're not
Right.
helpful. I was gonna say
Oh,
yeah.
actually, here's something interesting. The other day, I had an interaction with Julianne, and the interaction with her left me like in such a fun space because it was like she was sending me to go do something.
Mm.
Right? She was like, "I want you to go and then fill in the blank with whatever it was." Right? And I went and dominated whatever that thing was. I can't remember what it was specifically, but it was something silly. Like it had very little impact on our lives, but it needed to be done or whatever it was. And I felt very encouraged by the sending of the thing, right?
Good.
And
We're both
then,
together on that thing.
yeah, like
Yeah.
very, very
That's helpful.
much,
Yeah.
right? Very much uh, exists in like a profound space of. So another example of that is like my parents with our two daughters, right? When I'm like, hey, like, I want to get away from the weekend. Can I drop the girls off? And so Julianne, so we can go hiking,
Mm.
right? When my mom's response is, bring those girls here immediately and leave them and go. Like, and you get there and it's like, hey, they're a little sick. Get out of my house.
Yeah.
Go. I'm like, hey, they might not be asleep. Go. And it's like this really fun sending, right? So you get to leave freely and you get to go and be free from whatever that thing is that would, bog you down there.
Hmm. Hmm.
Do you need is there
I see
some
what you're
type of
saying because I
sending that has to happen again? Because like originally it was like you graduate college, you get married, go. Like you just get to go and do this thing. But then life sort of gets caught up a little bit, and
Mhm,
now
mhm.
like it's kind of like
You feel like you're forcing something that maybe you shouldn't force,
yeah, like
or whatever it might
where
be. Yeah,
like
it's
because
like
it
you have to be
exists
the one to
somewhere.
make the yeah, but like I wrestle with this. You have to be the one that makes the choice and the decision, and it's your decision. And yeah, I'm just wrestling with it.
Yeah, because there's
I'm
a
just
couple.
wrestling with
'Cause you
it.
have so many different camps right now that
There's a
are
lot of things that are going on, and I don't have a lot of time, and the same effort and energy and attention can't be poured into training like I want it to be. And when
right.
I do something, I want to do something. I want to do that thing to the absolute extreme. And
Yeah,
that might be a flaw, whatever. I just want to be the best that I can be at that thing that I decide to do.
right,
And if it's not helpful, I don't want to do it. This is where that whole argument of the idea of pragmatism and everything that we were talking about up there beforehand. We can talk about that another time. But
right. So
is
is
that
this
always the best thing to do? Is
right?
because I would be going into this knowing that I'm not going to be. The goal isn't to win the CrossFit Games. I would just be going just like I would say, "Hey JB, you made quarterfinals. You should probably go do quarterfinals. I'll encourage you to do quarterfinals."
Yeah,
And then you make it to semis and you finish top 5 or top 10 or top 15.
yeah,
I'd be like, "Hey man, you should think about competing. This kind of a cool opportunity just to test yourself,
yeah,
even if you didn't want to."
yeah.
So I give that advice to somebody else. Why would I not follow my own advice?
Right,
That make me a hypocrite. I'm not a hypocrite.
right,
So I have to follow my own advice, not out of me like forcing that or anything, but it's like that's what I should do. I should just kind of play through the season and whatever happens happens because that's what I would suggest for other people.
right,
And I have to get over the fact that maybe I'm not as competitive as I once wanted to be, but I can still see where I'm at the current state of my fitness, just like you did with Nancy on Monday.
right.
I would like to do that with the year.
That's helpful to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's helpful to know because that's easy to encourage.
Yeah, because it's
But
yeah,
it's a place of freedom, and if you don't set that somewhere
yeah, I have
like
to.
in you,
But
you're gonna
that's
struggle.
I have to accept that.
Yeah, you're
I
gonna
have to.
struggle
Yeah,
hard,
yeah. And I don't want that to be the case, and that's what
right?
I think I'm struggling with.
Because you know what it takes. Because
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the
yeah. I
hardest
know.
thing is, and I say this regularly when Kes texts us today and he makes a funny gif about you
That
know
was funny.
the pullovers or whatever, and his previous text before that is, what is it like to be the best in the world at something? That was essentially the previous text that he sent. And I say this all the time. I will never know that. I'll never know that. I maybe something maybe I become the best at counting chopsticks in a field or something. Like it would be
There's a
obscure.
lot of Guinness Book of World Records.
Yeah.
They're
Who
pretty
knows?
obscure.
Yeah. At one point I wanted to become the best.
CrossFit's pretty obscure.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I won't even go down that
It's
rabbit
right
hole,
up there.
whatever. But you know what it takes
Hmm.
to be the absolute best. And it would probably be hard to convince yourself that there isn't another route than the one you already took to become the best.
Hmm.
And that's my question. Do you think there could be another route?
Sure.
Why not?
Yeah. No. Maybe.
There's only one
I'm
way.
open. I'm not.
Only one way to skin a cat,
Yeah. No.
right?
Mm-mm. No.
But we're constantly stuck in those places, right?
Mhm.
Like you're constantly stuck in bad snatch form until
Yeah.
somebody comes and says, "Hey, you're pulling early. Stop."
Yeah.
Right?
So then the only difference, and that's why I say the mental game is so important, is because the only difference between the person that spirals upward and the person that spirals downward is their perception of the situation that they're in and what is possible uh, in the future.
Yeah.
Again, it's like that's the connection between your consciousness and reality.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, wrestling with that a little bit.
I like it. It's fun to watch. I don't like watching you wrestle with it because I know what it's costing you. What I do enjoy watching is you come into that 5 o'clock class the other day and people are like, "Oh, I smoked this workout. You know, I went 10 minutes or 11 minutes or whatever it is," and I'm like, you're forgetting who owns this place. You're forgetting who could do this workout too.
It's
Like,
fun, and it's fun going and doing the best that you can at it.
and
It's fun. It's play.
dude,
It needs to be playful though. If it's in the spirit of play, it's you are gonna do way better.
well, it's fun knowing the big dog at the park. You know, like those videos of like the mama dog and all the babies, like, and they're just harassing them. You know, they're just playing on mom, and she's like, just like pretending like they're winning. You know, whatever it is, right? That's what I think of whenever anybody's like, oh, you know, like even myself included. I'm like, oh, I smashed this workout. I'm like, dude, I think Ben beat my. I think he had my time. A quarterfinals workout 2 years ago. Remember, I did it right after Laura did hers,
Mhm.
and she did it in a third of the time it took me. It's not she didn't half the time.
Mhm.
She went 3 minutes. It took me 9.
Mhm.
Dude, so humbling.
Yeah, it's crazy that's what you get to see in the Open and the quarterfinals.
Yeah,
you get to compare yourself right up to that, which is cool.
it doesn't exist. It exists in very few places like that.
Yeah,
but that
Yeah.
was fun. It was fun getting to do that workout with you the other day, and I was like whispering to people,
and just like
and
Lindsay,
then
it
I
was
like,
fun
just
for
wait,
me. You know,
just wait till you see what is about to take place. Like, because that's the thing. It's like, come back to the basketball thing. It's like you go and you know you're. I have these 2 guys that come play golf tournaments with me
Mm.
for the Young Life Golf Tournament. I throw the tournament, and there's a prize for it. So like I can't win it every other year, but I got these 2 guys. One of them goes to the gym, play golf in college, but he's got homie. That's, I mean, just as good at golf.
Yeah,
I mean, legitimately, I put them on the squad, we win. And
it's probably fun to watch.
It's
fun to play with.
It's so fun. I bring my dad down the last time. I'm like,
Yeah.
Dad, like legitimately, you're not gonna have to hit it. That shot the whole time. And then I go, just watch.
Yeah.
And he's like, what are you talking about? Dude, just tees off 350 off the tee. Like nothing. And that's what it feels like when I'm like, hey, just wait. Just wait till you see how fast that human body right there can do this.
Yeah, so let me say something on that. Because I was gonna say, yeah, let me say something on that because I wrote about that. I posted the video of, I think it was Tian Tao and Giga Chad
Dude,
doing their lifting session before. I don't know what competition, but what it was, but they were doing front squats, and there was another one of them doing back squats, but it was essentially just them squatting.
Yeah.
And I sent it to almost everybody that I program for, that I work with, and I also posted on Patreon and put notes about it and said, like, guys, you just have to watch. Just look at this to see and compare yourself and how you're moving and what you're thinking about when you're moving to what you think they're thinking about and how they're moving.
Oh, nice.
And just, you can pay attention to these little things and pick up what they're focusing on or what they're thinking about. And then you can watch what you did or what you're doing. And you can say, well, how does this compare? Where can I improve? And then you might go back and forth watching and then trying and then watching and then trying. And it's like, how do you learn?
Yeah.
That's exactly how you learn. That's how you learn the fastest. You watch the best in the world.
Yeah.
And then you go back and you try, and then you watch and you try. If you just watch, there's no, I was looking this up the other day. There's no benefit if you just watch. But if you watch and you practice, there's benefit to it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you can't
learning by osmosis.
You can't just put up the word.
Yeah.
You must be doers of the word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you have to, and it's an iterative process, right? Like, it's a process. It's a cycle. And like we were saying, you hope that cycle is this way.
Right.
Right. And there's certain things that you can do to make that cycle this way, or there's certain things you could do to make the cycle the other way. You know, and a lot of that's just between the ears.
I was thinking about, and we haven't talked about this. This is fresh, but just like the workout of the week sort of part of this, like, not like, I can't figure out what it is because I don't want to call it homework, but like a weekly challenge or something like that, whatever it is, like this one.
I gave homework on the Patreon page the other day.
Watch Lou.
Yeah.
Clean and jerk. just watch one of his clean and jerk sessions this week. That's your
But how many more questions you might come back with to the
Yeah.
gym or for your coach, or maybe you're now interested and you're seeing this thing new for like seeing it fresh
right.
with a new set of eyes. Yeah, and then you come in and you might ask a question and then spark some sort of motivation for the person next to you.
Yeah.
And it's like that's a positive that builds positivity throughout the gym. But yeah, if you're not watching, then you're not really gonna, if you don't know what the movements are, yeah, it's gonna take you a lot longer to learn than if you go looking for it. But like you'll learn it over time, like your coaches should teach you, and you'll learn it over time. But if you want to learn the fastest, I think you should watch some of the best in the world and then try to compare yourself to that. That's how I learned. I don't know. That's how I learned it. Almost everything. Almost everything.
Yeah,
Like the internet's crazy.
well, I remember going to a CrossFit competition right when I drank the Kool-Aid, getting crushed, and being like, dude, that old man just clean and jerk 100 more pounds than I did. What is going on?
Yeah.
I'm 22. I'm like,
You
this
ask
is
how. Yeah.
and I asked how, and then I went and looked at videos. Then I watched more videos, and then I went and practiced a little more, and eventually, it is second nature, right? It's second nature to teach too, to where like I have the benefit of being in classes sometimes and being like, hey, if you don't mind, like here's just a little thing, like you could think about this, or your arms should stay straight. If you didn't know, like a golf swing, I tell people all the time, like, hey, your left arm stays straight. If it bends, you're so far off from being able to do this thing that you're telling me you want to do right now, because we're golfing right now. It doesn't make sense to me that you don't know this.
Yeah.
How do you not know that your left arm stays straight when you swing a golf club and you break at the wrist? You don't break at the elbow.
Because you don't pay attention or watch the best do it.
And I know that gets away from you.
The game. Yeah.
You have your coaches here to remind you of that. You have a couple of people in the class potentially that could remind you of that. But also, the responsibility of this whole thing should mainly fall on your shoulders, like driving.
Absolutely, just like anything else.
Like
nobody's going to do it for you.
Yeah. Like not at all. Like you look both ways before you cross the street. This has been ingrained in you, but somehow it left, like to where you're like, I'm just gonna sit here and somebody, like I'm gonna be moldable or whatever it is. It's like you get to play in this a little bit too.
Actively participate in. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like you should come to your coach with questions.
Yeah.
Like come to class with a question.
Something like
that. I don't know. I think that's great.
Should I wear lifters? Like the other day, Scotty was like, hey, should I wear lifters when I squat? And I was like, what do you think? It's like, well, I see all of the best lifters in the world wearing lifters. And I went, go with that then. Great. Just stick with it. If you're going to do it. Stick with it. We'll always wear them and live there. It's perfect. That's fine. Clearly, it's not a detriment. They all wear them.
Yeah. Why? You ask why.
It's like,
and then why you would ask, and then if you ask why, you could just continually learn, go down that path and learn. That's why it's, just stay curious, stay asking why. What else could we go over?
So,
dude, that video though is really good. I should link it on the below our.
You definitely should, because I almost sent it to you, and
I had watched both of them
already watched them
and commented on it and put it on Patreon and everything. So
they clipped it. They clipped it and put it on whatever there's like a weird weightlifting page that I follow.
Yeah, there's a few.
They clipped it a bunch of times, and his triple bodyweight back squat that looked like butter through a hot knife.
Dude, he did 4 front squats at 240 kilos. The last one, I'd never seen him grind through a rep like that.
Dude,
like you could see his hips shift. You could see him like decide to put in effort.
Yeah.
Like it was crazy. But yeah. All the other ones look so light.
Yes.
Some of the things that I was thinking about, how much they focus on an upright torso position, and how they let the legs and knees do what they need to do to get into an upright torso. Like that's the number one. You can tell that's the number one.
Really?
Yeah. That's why they wear lifters too. and you can tell that they had done they had done it so many times because it was just so smooth. Like the movement, the up and down movement was so smooth. There's no hitch, there's no hips shifting forward and backward,
Yeah.
and you can tell how many thousands of reps they've done at
Right.
60 kilos.
Yep.
You know, like hardly anything for them, or empty barbell. Like
Right.
they made the empty barbell look like their max lift. They look the same. I argued that in here that they thought about the heaviest lifts less than they thought about the lighter lifts. As they were working up, they were thinking about their positions, their technique, all of the balance, everything. And then as they got heavier and heavier, their attention shifted from paying attention to those things and started focusing on effort.
Yeah.
Because then they have already done the thousands and thousands of reps, the 10,000 hours that it takes to be an expert, whatever, that they can just focus on the effort, and they don't have to focus on all the little tiny intricate details that you might think about as you're warming up to kind of feel things out. There's a point where you cross, let's say 70%, I don't know, you stop thinking and you just start doing, right? And you just have to go. You just have to go. And if you make mistakes there, you need to back down and work and refine that. But you go up and you just test. That's what I always use heavier weights for, is you go up and you test. So like they liked it. I see it all the time. It's like they'll always build to a heavy. Maybe it's a single, double, triple. And then they'll back off and they'll do like a set, 2 sets, maybe 3 sets. If they're in like hard training, maybe they do a bunch of sets. I don't know. But I don't know what that looks like. But you always see them like peaking for competition. So they'll probably do less reps. But they always build up and then come back down and just work in this range that where they can recruit the right muscles. They can move the bar with speed. So the bar doesn't slow down. You know, like when I squatted today and it's like, I got to a point where the bar started to slow down and I'm like, all right, there's no point in me going much heavier than this. I need to go a little lighter and really work on moving the speed through the middle portion of that rep. And that doesn't, like, there's no ego in it. Like, I don't need to lift this heavy weight. Like, the weights just come as a result of you moving well and working and paying attention to balance and speed over time.
That's the thing that is lost on a lot of people right now. I think it's coming back. You know, there's a remnant of this where it's on its way. Your attention should be on quality.
Yeah.
As
I think your attention should be most on balance and speed.
Balance and speed.
Balance first, then speed.
All right. Which is quality?
Yeah. No. I agree with you, but I'm trying to take it. Okay,
Yes.
what do you mean by quality?
Right.
I think you should mean balance and speed in an order.
I like that a lot. The pause squats yesterday did that really well. I thought about that a lot. I watched in my class, I watched a bunch of people going. I'm always sitting there thinking, do people watch me like I watch them? Like, are they trying to, or what? I'm just curious. You know, maybe that, maybe I'll ask everybody today when I do the file. But like I watched a lot of people's reps yesterday. And it was interesting to seeing where people paused, what their pause position was. And I'm almost willing to bet none of them, the ones that I noticed, their pause when it was at its heaviest, is where they pause at a air squat.
It's lower.
With higher. The weight, it was higher.
Oh, it's higher.
Yeah.
And yeah. Okay.
And I'm like, okay. Either you're gonna have a hard time receiving a really heavy barbell at the bottom of a squat for a clean or snatch, or you're gonna get strong enough to where you're gonna that's where you're gonna be, and that's fine.
All right, I got a controversial point on this one. So the first thing that I said here is, no, sorry, what did I say? The fourth point out of 5, that they shorten the range of motion at the lighter weights to stay tight. In this video, Ilya Lin does it as well when he front squats. So he front squats high.
Yeah. And
I'm thinking in my head, okay, why? Why does he do that? Why do these guys do the same thing? You could tell that they focus on keeping tension as much as possible through their whole rep, right? Like tension the whole way down. And then as they get heavier and heavier, the weight takes them down lower and lower and lower, but they maintain the tension. So like they have the ability to go lower, but that doesn't mean that they should go lower.
Hmm.
So my argument is going to be something like these range of motion critics that
Yeah.
are always there's difference between competing and training.
Correct.
There's a difference. Okay?
Yeah.
When you're competing, you get below parallel, fine. But when you're training, I think there's benefit to squatting that way and squatting to your point where you stay tight, where you don't release tension and get into the bottom all the time. Because I think you can learn to get like that's like your home base. And then when you get into the hole and come out of it, you're right there and you're strong and you know exactly how to get out of it and you can get out of it with some speed. Like, I don't know. It's not always necessary to bottom out your squat and build. I don't know that you should build from
From the bottom.
the bottom. I don't know that you should build from the bottom up like that all the time. I think you might want to work on position first before you increase range of motion. You know what I mean?
That was
'Cause
something that I observed that yesterday because all of
maybe
the majority of the squats that I was seeing
Maybe.
were in proper position.
they were
So
they were correct.
They were correct.
Yeah.
To the point where it's like you wouldn't say anything to this person doing this. Like I'm looking around, all of the above, and at no point was it, hey, you should, and then fill in the blank. It
Mhm.
was, I wonder if they know. I wonder if this is intentional.
Mhm.
I wonder if this translates over to heavy clean for them. I wonder, just gets my, just gets my mind going, whatever it is. But also, I used to squat the way that I was seeing a little bit, and then I was like, I want to be able to bounce. Like I want to be able to receive a barbell, and get out of this hole instead of uh, essentially just what is it where you're contracting on the way down?
That's what they're doing. So they're pulling themselves into the bottom of the
Yes.
squat versus just falling into a squat.
So I've noticed some of the best rehab that I can do on my ankles, just on my legs, let's say
Yeah.
in general, is 150 wall balls for time.
Uh-huh.
Either and so do you like I like catching the ball standing, holding it and bracing the whole way down, right? And then exploding, just like sheer explosion of force up, right? But when I'm working out and it's a couplet, a triplet, whatever, and it has some type of uh interference in the workout, I'll catch that ball at the bottom of a squat.
Yeah.
I'll throw it and I'll immediately squat again.
Yeah.
And I'll sit at the bottom and I'll let the ball legitimately fall into my hands with about an inch left to go, to where I still, boom,
You still get a little bit of that.
still a
rebound,
little,
yeah.
just a
Yeah.
little.
That's probably the fastest way to do it.
It's the fastest way to do it for
Mhm.
sure. Like I'll double up reps,
Yeah.
and people have no idea.
Mhm.
Like,
Which makes me think that there's the fastest way to do workouts, and then there's the most effective way to do workouts that will translate over to the other components that you're working on.
yeah, it's
It's not always time. Like
Yeah.
the time isn't always the focus. That shouldn't always be your number one attention thing that you place at the top. It's not always time.
It's not
It's
always
rarely time. It's very rarely time.
until you need the most objective thing. Start your stopwatch. I'm watching the F1 series right now, the most
Mhm.
recent one,
Mhm.
and this poor kid's coming up, and I think he's about to get fired, right, and lose his seat to Daniel Ricciardo. And there's this quote from the GM or whatever his name is, team manager of Mercedes, and he's like, "Stopwatch doesn't lie.
Mhm.
It just doesn't. We have enough data right now. Stopwatch doesn't lie.
Mhm.
Yeah, heck it. You need it. Like you need it.
Yeah, no,
Like,
it's
I
absolutely
I
necessary.
immediately was like,
I would never say that it's not necessary
Right.
or that you shouldn't have it be a focus.
but it's not your. It might not be the best thing at helping you achieve the goal that you want to achieve for everything, right?
Mhm.
It's not always against the clock.
Yeah, like there's small goals within the bigger goals.
Yeah, and you
have
talked
to
about
have
that.
we talk about it all the time. You have to have those smaller goals for sure.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
made me. It was a very like profound thought though. Like you have something there. Like the things that people love most in life have these very real, solidified, objective um, markers. What What were y'all talking about in the lobby?
I feel like that's another whole podcast.
Is it?
Yeah, I was thinking. So I was thinking about the idea. I was watching the Jordan Peterson, Ian McGilchrist video about the left and right half the brain. Right, just talking about this,
Yeah.
all these things, and they were talking about pragmatism and how our world is very left-brained. Like we're very,
Yeah.
we want to put a finger on exactly what that is. It's black and white. It has to be this and not that. And then we don't want to have. There's no nuance in the world, right?
Yeah.
For your favorite word. So they don't leave room for anything. Like don't leave room for all of the other things that can't be specifically described. Like Andrew Huberman will give you a daily routine on the 10 things you should do when you wake up in the morning to maximize your productivity for the day. It's like those things are good, and everybody seems to be wanting those right now.
Yeah.
But there's a whole other side of it where it's like what CrossFit does, and the magic of CrossFit in the article that we talked about in the last podcast. They're like the sum is greater than the parts.
Mm-hmm.
That's not pragmatic. That's not descriptive. That's not scientific. Now, CrossFit can be rooted in science, but they still leave room for this other thing that's special, that they call the special part of CrossFit, right? The ethos, the community, the ethos, the coach. All of this stuff is the stuff that I'm interested, that I think you're interested in as well. It interests me more than the, hey, do this for 5 minutes and this for 3 minutes and this for 10 minutes and you're going to get this result. I'm not as interested in that. Like that doesn't get me going, but because I don't think that in the end that's the most important, because you can follow all the rules, dot all the I's and cross all the T's, and you still might not succeed, or you might succeed and not having done those things. So it's like there's a lot of, I don't know, I'm just more open to different experiences, and I think CrossFit leaves room for something special, and I can't put a finger on it and pinpoint what it is, but we can look at it like around and describe it and talk about all this stuff. But I think when you think about it enough, and like you go, like you said, you put in the effort and you go looking, like you'll see that it brings something special to the table that all these other, the burn boot camps and the F45s and the, what else? The Orange Theory. Those things don't have. They just don't have the same thing. And I'm trying to put a finger on what exactly that is.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'll ever be able to put a finger on it, and that's why it's special. Right? And that's why it's, so I was just wondering what.
Yeah, can't catch the wind.
Yeah, no. And I was wondering what people thought of the idea that our world's very pragmatically focused today, like very focused on what's most practical. It's almost like they worship that. It's most practical. But the things that are not always the most practical are the things that mean the most to people. Like go hike to the top of a mountain and stare out into the landscape, or look at the stars. That's what we're talking about. When I look at the stars at night, I experience that same feeling of like awe and wonder. It doesn't make any sense. Why would I stand there and sit up and spend my time staring at the stars? But it has meaning. It has meaning that's deeper than something that I can just describe on a piece of paper. I don't know, or write a scientific theory for or something.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you're definitely right. This is a whole nother podcast. I didn't know. I was.
That's what we were talking about.
I didn't know what you were saying because, but, bro, stars are wild. I regularly think about the fact that people navigated the oceans. They navigate like full blown navigating system. The stars.
We just don't think like people thought. And this is what I'm trying to ask. How do other people think compared to how we think today? How is it different, and what are we missing? And they're all good questions to ask.
Yeah, there's a weird part of like setting the parts of your day aside when you come here that is so special, that something in this thought lines up with what you're saying, but like when the volume of life gets turned down for the hour that you get to do whatever the thing it is that you're doing, right?
Yeah.
Whatever life is that you're categorizing it as in its volume button, right? Then you have your thing that turns that volume down to make it less stressful, less chaotic, less whatever, right?
Mhm. But that thing
And
didn't go anywhere.
it didn't go anywhere.
Your attention just changed
Yeah,
to this other
to
thing
this
and
other
not that
thing,
thing.
right? But for some reason, this thing over here is able to turn the volume down, the amplification of whatever is going on over here. When you start stacking things in your life that can turn that volume down,
Mhm.
you're you're probably going to be able to start paying attention to more and more things, and maybe things that you want to pay attention to or whatever. Like it's another podcast.
Yeah.
I won't go. I'm really interested in next one we got to talk about is energy and what it means. Like what is your energy translate to? Like your like currency, right? Money, right? Is just your time and energy,
Kind of like attention
right? Being
spent or no, sorry,
your
stored.
time and energy stored in a piece of paper.
Mhm.
What is your time and energy at your hour of CrossFit a day stored in?
Mhm.
That's this magic because it gets stored in this thing that we're trying to describe, but we don't have the dollar bill to point at. Because your time and energy for working, you can point right at it. It's your paycheck.
Yeah, I mean that's the representation of it. That's not the thing itself. Yeah.
But that's what I want to talk about next because my time and energy spent right there is on a very specific goal right now that I haven't had recently, and it's really, really, really fun. It's super fun.
What's that?
It's gonna sound awful, but I really, really, really want to be the best CrossFitter at this gym that doesn't want to compete.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Because you're competing in that.
Right.
That makes no sense.
With no aspirations of competing professionally or going and doing anything like that. Like,
well, that's the interesting. That's the interesting place that I'm in as well. And we've already concluded that I would encourage you to do the next level of competition if you made it to the next level.
And I would.
Okay, so then.
Yeah.
You have to.
I guess maybe I'm scared to put my.
You have to participate in it.
Yeah.
I think you're the same way. You're in the same boat I am.
Yeah.
You have to participate in this thing, otherwise. I think you have to do the open, otherwise you're not doing CrossFit. If you make the open and you make the quarters and you don't do the quarters, are you really why are you stopping there?
Yeah,
why even do the open?
Right.
Participate in it.
Yeah.
Do it. So that's where I am.
Yeah.
And that's where I think I'm going to participate in CrossFit because I do CrossFit.
Yeah.
And I think CrossFit is helpful.
Yeah.
It's pragmatic.
But it's like, and so here, like, I don't feel bad about not being. Wow. I don't feel bad about not ever making it to regionals, right? Mm-hmm. Like ego wise. Mm-hmm. But ego wise of not being. Like I'm really interested in seeing where I do comparatively to everyone else that I love and respect at the gym in regards to quarterfinals. Like I was like 20.
Yeah, you got to compete to see where you're at, right? You want to know where you're at, you got to compete.
Yeah, if you want to know where you're at, you got to compete. Yeah, exactly. I'm like really excited about it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I was like focusing on like yesterday.
You're starting to focus on performance again.
Really, really focused on it. Like,
yeah, and that's where CrossFit lives. The methodology lives in the focus on performance, and that's why it's special.
Yeah,
and that's why it produces the things that it produces.
I start stretching again.
Yeah, but like that's you do the same. JB, do you not do the same thing with your diet?
100%.
Why do you not eat like trash every night?
Yeah, 100%.
because you know how you feel in the morning,
Yeah,
and you know that that's not helpful for you
yeah,
or beneficial or productive, which is the idea of that's why I was talking about pragmatism and thinking about that and
Yeah.
wondering
like that other day.
should we do?
Like that other day.
Should we do?
I have a
these certain
really,
things, you
I have
know,
a
like-
really funny. If but Braden's been getting really strong,
crazy strong.
and
Power size 250 the other day.
yeah, and so I'm like the other day I was like, I'm gonna get strong again, so that you have somebody to live with. Like,
It'd be fun to lift with them too.
yeah,
It's always fun doing that.
like
It's fun to run on weights.
super fun. But that one's good. But I'm like picking random goals too, where I'm like,
Yeah.
that's fun. Of like,
I
I'm
feel
gonna go
like-
as hard as I can this workout, so that person over there that I know really cares about this, that's trying to compete in this
Yeah.
professionally, has this like has a rabbit to chase for one round at least or something like that, right? Like that's a fun thing to participate and add to.
But you'd be
that
just
person's
and
time.
you'd be playing and
Right.
doing that.
But that's all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Real
funny. Maybe
fun.
next time we can talk about I feel like strength should be higher up on the pyramid of hierarchy of things.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely.
I don't know. It just seems like it's not as important as it should be because it's like if you don't have a certain level of strength, you can't participate in certain events.
I mean,
You see what I'm saying? Like, see how strength
100%.
can be
No.
important. Like, strength can be a limiter. You know, so like, I'd like to talk about some of the prerequisites for like competing in CrossFit at some point, or even doing the open. Or I'd like to get into like how I think when I'm thinking about programming for the gym or thinking about programming for people who do the games or myself doing the games. What I'm why I pick certain things, like let's say having the ability to do 30 ring muscle ups under 3 minutes, but under at any amount of fatigue that you possibly could be under. Why do I pick?
that's absurd.
You know, like, but why do you pick that one thing? And then
Yeah.
how fun training can be if you vary that all the time. And
Yeah.
you're just like, all right, I'm doing my 30 muscle ups this week. What do I want to pair it with? It doesn't matter. Pair it with the craziest things you want to pair it with.
Right.
But the goal is to do 30 muscle ups in 3 minutes
Right.
in the middle of whatever you're doing. So I don't know, it's just things like that, like how there's certain standards and benchmarks that CrossFit has. And Clayton had some questions, and I know we didn't get to answer any of his questions, but sorry.
Kennedy.
Yeah, he was on the chat.
I
And I
love
think
him.
we answered Matthias's question that he had, but we didn't have any other questions on Patreon this week. But maybe next week we'll get a few more. But I think we covered stuff that we were talking about this week, and hopefully we get some more new stuff for next week. But what else you got? Anything else for
No.
today?
Well, time to work out, but the
Yeah, I gotta work out too.
no, I'm saving it all for.
Cool.
next
We'll do
one.
a good one next week, next Thursday, 3:00.
Yeah.
Deal.
Yeah. No, yeah.
All right. Cool.
Yeah. Easy peasy,
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks, JB.
dude. I've been